Second.
There's some bathers in there.
Yeah, now run. Straight away. I am video.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of The Shark Panel, where we delve into all the greatest and wonderful behaviours of sharks. My name's Ryan Johnson. I'm a marine biologist working here in South Africa for the last 20 years. I've published over 30 scientific papers, and I also appear in numerous international documentaries on sharks showcasing these wonderful creatures. Craig.
Hey everybody, Craig speaking, Craig Ferreira. I'm a white shark specialist with a keen behaviour in great white shark behaviour. So welcome to top panel in the world when it comes to great white sharks. Fiona.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona Eft. I'm an underwater photographer and videographer with a special interest in sharks. And Gibbs, what about you?
I'm Gibbs Kuguru. I'm a shark geneticist. I like to see these big animals from a very small perspective. My research is currently focused on the human impacts that are negatively impacting the shark populations. Back to you, Ryan.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Well, I think after last week in the last episode, we're really focused in on the great white sharks and the interaction with humans. And what came through from the panel was that there wasn't a lot of aggression by the sharks. So this got us thinking, hey, what about times when sharks do show aggression, that they do appear aggressive and in that hunting mode? So we went around the internet, and there's one very topical clip of a hammerhead, a giant hammerhead lunging at a human. So we sort of used that as the baseline and found another number of other clips sort of representing that. So let's start off with playing one of these.
Oh, this is gorgeous footage.
Yeah, these are little blacktip sharks that the hammerheads are actually hunting.
Are these oceanic blacktips?
Yeah, in Florida.
Oh, very cool.
Florida, okay.
Yeah, shout out to the guy who filmed this. This is couldn't have picked a better day.
I'm actually going to put him down below in the comments because, I was blown away by this footage.
Oh, wow.
I'm not the favourite hammerheads as such, but am I under correction now? There's 7 different species or 5?
Gibbsy, you're the hammerhead man.
Yeah, I think there's 7 different species. 7, and I think they actually classified one as 2 different species in 2018. So I think there's 2013. So I think there's actually 8 different species now. Okay. Actually, there's one. The newest one is called the Carolina hammerhead. Yeah,
All right.
aptly named.
All right, as our resident hammerhead shark specialist, Gibbs, how about you kicking off for us?
Yeah, I really like that video, and one thing you have to notice is that this water is incredibly shallow, and that such a big shark can actually perform incredible agility in such little water. I think that's probably only like knee high, a couple feet, and you can see that this high performance is characterized with these incredible swing bursts and these super fast turns, and it actually looks at the very end that little shark that it actually captured, it kind of looked a little bit tired. I don't know. You guys can maybe comment on that. But when it grabbed it, it looked like the thing was already tuckered out. What do you guys say? Maybe Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, I looked at that last clip as well, and I think that shark has hit that little oceanic blacktip a couple of times beforehand because it wasn't going anywhere. But, what struck me about all of these clips was that burst of speed. When sharks, and not just the hammerhead, when all sharks really do intend to go after prey, you realize they're big predators. They're chasing typically very fast prey, and to be successful at hunting that, they have to put on massive bursts of speed to be able to even hopefully capture their prey. So again, when I juxtapose that back to last week when we were looking at the great whites interacting with humans, that type of interaction was very, very different to what we're seeing here. And this is really indicative of hunting sharks. Fiona.
What I noticed was that the hammerhead found a shark that it wanted to catch, and it followed that shark. It was very much like watching lions hunting, actually. I mean, really fascinating that it seemed to single out one animal, and then no matter what other animal came across its path, it just went for that one that it had singled out. And I found that absolutely fascinating. I mean, I can understand why it had to do that, because there's so many sharks just swimming over its field of vision. But it was incredible how it managed to just chase after that one victim that it chose. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah, on that point, I agree with you. And what Gibbs just said as well, the little blacktip shark eventually seemed to just give up and say, "Okay, I'll be your next meal, your next sandwich." But I've never encountered the great hammerhead shark. Until watching these videos, I never realized they came into such shallow waters. It's pretty impressive that they do. I mean, that water's knee deep in some spots where that animal's chasing these, and it's a big animal. But I think what comes out of this for me is what we've all seen, is that, relating back to great white sharks, people, they look at them and these very large great white sharks are called buses. They look like 18-wheelers. And it's always impressive to see how quick these animals can really be. Even as big animals, like a big hammerhead and big adult great white sharks, they can put on a burst of speed, which is mind-blowing, and they can swing on their axes, and they can hunt very nimble prey. It's like a cheetah hunting a jackal kind of thing. And that's what I saw there, and that really impressed me. But it's not a surprise to me. We've all seen these animals do incredible speeds and incredible acrobatics when they are hunting.
Another thing I saw was, very typical of hammerheads, they sort of use that side angle to grasp their prey. And this is a characteristic also, I think, of their teeth, where, a great white, for example, is designed, these massive, razor-like teeth to tear out large chunks of flesh. The hammerhead has these grasping type of teeth that they use to sort of, grab their prey and then sort of try and tear away pieces of flesh by pinning them with their flat head, which, this hammerhead very characteristically did. So I think this is a really unique and characteristic version of the typical hammerhead hunting style.
Well, we have got more hammerheads because when you start looking through the internet, there was a lot of them onshore, online, and essentially this sort of near-shore hunting behavior of the hammerhead seems quite common. So I'm just going to roll the second clip and we'll have a look what it happens. That is a hammerhead. It's not professional footage, but that's a hammerhead circling around that group right there.
Yeah, we got some bathers there.
And some young boys getting very worried for them.
The bathers are just having a little chat. I don't think they've even noticed there's a shark there.
Yeah, they must not know.
Whoa,
Doesn't look like a shark even knows they're there. Would know that they're there, but doesn't seem interested in them.
See how the behavior
Look at
changes
that.
right
Looks
there.
like Shark's got something in the rocks there. Must be hunting. Maybe octopus or something, huh?
They see something.
Oh, yep, they see the shark now.
they're moving now.
Do they eat octopus, Gibbs?
Whoa, everybody's running.
That's an interesting question, and I've been wondering about this because I've never seen it in person. But some of the hammerheads that I have tagged do have those like a row of circular, almost like little punctures all along their skin. So they must be encountering some kind of octopus, but I think it's probably a squid that they would rather go for.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, again, sharks and humans coming close together, but a very different type of interaction. What do you take there, Craig?
Yeah, okay. Well, that shark was obviously not interested in the humans in the water. It was very specific on what it was doing, and it found some prey in that reef, and I couldn't see what it was, but it would have been a fish or an octopus or maybe another shark. But the question comes to mind here is that, I mean, we've seen great white sharks chase seals, and of course, when great white sharks are not feeding on seals, and they feed on other shark species or skates and other fish species on the reef, tuna, whatever it may be, dolphin, they have to chase them down. But I think a great deal of the great white sharks' hunting strategy is stealth. But when I don't know how these hammerheads hunt, these great hammerheads, I don't know how they normally hunt, but in those shallow waters, there's no stealth. They don't have an opportunity to hunt something on the surface. So they must be expending an enormous amount of energy to chase down their prey. And they must be excellent predators to be able to do that. So that's the information, the impression that I get out of that video, or the two videos that we watched. It's you, Ryan, actually. I don't want to hear what you got to say about that.
Yeah, what I noticed was right at the start of the clip, and that's really where it fascinated me, because if you do watch that hammerhead, it actually circles around the humans, and it keeps a very distinct distance from the humans. So firstly, it tells you that before the humans, and obviously the humans didn't even see it, but before they could have potentially seen it, that hammerhead had already detected the presence of those three humans and was actively avoiding it. And that was really fascinating for me, because you saw when it did encounter its prey, or what it likes to eat on the reef, its behavior totally changed. So firstly, you have to understand these sharks are incredibly aware of their environment. Just because we can't see them or can't sense them does not mean they don't sense us. That shark, I think, was very, very aware of those humans. When it did decide to start hunting again, as Craig was saying, what is very clear, it's about pursuit. It's about high speed pursuit. It's about wearing down those animals. Also, you have these hammerheads that have these hydrofoils, and what that allows them to do is, one of the main designs for them is it allows them to have this incredible maneuverability where they can circle almost on a dime to catch these fleeing animals. So I definitely think pursuit is a big part of these hammerheads hunting strategy. Fiona.
Yeah, I think I would agree, Ryan, that I found it fascinating that the hammerhead was just so relaxed when it was around people. I just swam around them, having a good look, and obviously could tell that this wasn't its normal prey. Stayed a reasonable distance away, and then decided to go and look in the rocks instead, and found something or smelt something in there. And yeah, it was also quite incredible how the behavior from going from so calm, almost like on the turn of a dime, just turned into that aggressive hunting behavior, and totally disinterested in the humans, and just very intent on getting that food. So yeah, I didn't even think that the humans really needed to get out of the water. I think the shark was just after whatever was in that rocks. What do you think, Gibbs? Have you been? I think you're the only one who can tell us what these sharks really eat.
Yeah, well, I think they have quite a varied number of prey items that they usually go for. And in this case, it definitely seems like these great hammerheads are interested in some kind of fish or shark. I also wasn't able to tell from the video what it was going for. But yeah, Ryan, I like that you brought up the cephalofoil of the hammerheads, and how it sort of, not only assists in maneuverability, but it actually enhances their electromagnetic sensory capabilities. It's basically like they have a face full of like satellite receivers in a way that detects their prey. So they're very well aware of what's going on in their environment. So they're going for this little fish or whatever, and they see the humans and immediately recognize this as non-prey items. And I think one thing that helped these bathers is that they were unsuspecting. Unbeknownst to them, there's this massive hammerhead chasing this fish. A lot is going on in that environment, but not once were they in danger. And I think it helps that they're not observing the predator, so they don't act as prey. But also, this thing was just not interested in them. And when you have the media narrative spinning this whole shark attack thing, like you see in the Daily Mail, I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but it really puts it into perspective once you see a video like this and it's made clear that we are not on the menu. But yeah, excited to see what's in the next video.
Yeah, good point, Gibbs. Well, let me go in and straight away roll this thing.
Shark! There's a shark! Get on it!
Don't you love it how the people up above watching it are very vocal? They go straight into that shark mindset.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that big.
And then they start laughing at him.
Oh, yeah.
Lights coming, come on,
Hey, they're hoping to make $1 million on YouTube and film a shark attack.
Dude, that shark's catching, trying to chase a ray.
Bathers are trying to get out of the water.
And how slow they are at realizing something's going on.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Hey, they're relaxed now, though. Now they're watching the spectacle.
Yeah, who needs National Geographic when you can just go out and, check out these animals in person?
Alrighty, Fee, you haven't had a turn yet. Start us off. What do you think?
I would agree with what Gibbs said last. I think that those people are incredibly lucky. I wish that I was at some stage in a situation, as long as I had my camera with me, of course, where I could just get into the water and watch a hammerhead shark chasing a ray down. That would just be incredible. But once again, very similar to the last clip that we watched, the shark was totally disinterested in the people, and just really intent on getting that prey. You've got to really be impressed by that dedication, I think. It had its head down, wanted that particular ray, and just chased it. And this is similar to what I said about the first clip and also the second clip. It just really seems that hammerheads, when they get it into that head that they want that prey, then that's the thing that they go for. And I think once again, the people were also probably lucky in the beginning, maybe that they didn't know it was there, and so they didn't sort of scream and start shouting and running. And by the time they did run, the shark was already very intent on the ray. So that's what my take is. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah, I agree with you on everything you say there. I'd like to just add that my feeling is that these are not rare events. The events that we saw now are not, rare occasions. I think this probably happens far many times than we realize, and people realize, and that are recorded. I mean, these are a few recordings of something that probably happens very often. So it just shows us that these sharks, as you say, are very specific in what they're going for, and they're not interested in humans. They're totally not interested in humans. Most sharks are not. They go in there, they want to hunt something, and that's what they decide to do. They're not random. They're not willy-nilly about what they're doing. What I am thinking is that it reminds me of kind of a metal detector, the big hammer on their head. And I'm just wondering what advantage that gives him over other super predators or other large predatory sharks. I think it must have something to do with the environment that they often hunt in. But my impression was that great hammerheads were largely more pelagic animals or found offshore. I might be completely mistaken. However, if they are pelagics, then I'm just wondering what the evolutionary advantage is over having this large hammer compared to other sharks which have the pointed snout. So maybe you can say something about the Gibbs. I don't know.
Yeah, Craig, that's actually a really good point, because I think up until about 2005, we were mostly sure that hammerheads, and especially great hammerheads, only hunted offshore. But we've seen like a number of examples since then that these sharks actually do attempt to get prey in inshore areas. And not only that, they are highly successful at it. And you'll see some articles where they talk about the hammerhead hunting strategy, which is to actually grab their prey, pin them down with their head, and actually, start tearing pieces of flesh off of it. And I think they're able to find their prey in these inshore areas because they're able to sort of scan, like you were saying, with that metal detector type method over the sandy areas and pick up the little things that are hiding in there that they can easily, dominate. So there's just and also, number one, we should also categorically say that this shark did not make an attempt for the humans, and this is another example of, sharks just not being interested in us. They've got a lot more going on in their world. But yeah, I think when we are talking about these animals, it's really important to sort of to say these things. But yeah, Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, what struck me about this video is how different would that encounter have been reported if it wasn't for that aerial view that we can get nowadays, either through our high rises, but more often than not through drone footage. If we just had the view of what the people in the water saw, that reportage on that incident would most likely have been an attempted shark attack. The splash in, the fact that that shark was so close to the humans, those humans would have been genuinely afraid for their life. They would have thought, something's gone on here, this shark's going after us. And it's only now that we've got the technology to get those drones in the air, or those rare occasions when you can get right up there on buildings, that this whole sort of disinterest that seems to occur when often you have big sharks and humans coming close together is actually being observed. I also picked up on what Gibbs you were talking about, is that this area was different from the previous video in that shark was hunting on the sand, and definitely where they're hunting on the sand is by going after things like the rays that can scuttle down in the sand, hide themselves. But because of these sharks having that ampulla of Lorenzini and that sort of electroreception ability, they can go along, scan that, and then even though we're not seeing those rays, those sharks are seeing those rays, they sort of flush them out, and then that big chase happens. Clearly, not interested in the humans. Agree, as always, with you guys on that. But still, I think it's we're lucky we've got these eyes in the sky now that can sort of give a more accurate reportage of what we actually see. That's all of us. As anybody else? So, Craig.
Yeah, does anybody know how what the largest great hammerhead is? I mean, how in feet, meters, how large is that?
I've heard the reported largest size of a great hammerhead is actually longer than a great white, the largest recorded great white, minus your submarine, Craig. I think it was about 7 meters, which is 21 feet.
Yeah, and you can imagine the dorsal fin, because these great hammerheads have massive dorsal fins, even related to their size. So you imagine that dorsal fin sticking out of the water. Those things can be 1.5, maybe even 2 feet in height. That type of dorsal fin is going to scare the jeebies out of anybody who sees it coming close to them.
Okay, because my father, when he was fishing for tuna off Cape Point, many years ago, said they saw one that was around about 17, 18 foot long, came around the boat.
Big sharks, but their mouths aren't as big as their length. Great whites have got the bigger mouth.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on, crack on, look at the last clip, because I think this last clip is the one that got everybody so interested in the great hammerheads inshore.
Well, apparently lost interest in the man,
So,
but
because
not after
it's,
appearing
again,
to charge
always
towards him.
fuzzy footage,
Katie
but
Van
it's pretty
Bogart
clear what
uploaded a
happens.
video of the incident to her TikTok page, where she wrote that it was filmed on Friday morning at Panama City Beach.
Boom,
Since
look at that.
uploading the video, it has been viewed over 6 million times. In the video, a man can be seen waiting in the water as the shark swims nearby. Initially, it is unclear if the man is aware that
Again,
the
he
shark
wasn't
is
even
nearby,
noticed. He
although
notices
nobody
now.
else is standing near him. Suddenly, the shark seems to charge directly
I'd be
towards the man,
body surfing,
prompting
that's for
screams
sure.
of fear from
That's
people
that's
watching
a
the scene
10,
unfold from
12
the beach.
foot shark. It's a
Fortunately,
big
the
shark. It's no
breaks
small
off
shark.
and swims away after coming within just a few feet of the man. At
That's
this
got
point,
some
he
size
seems
on
to
it.
become aware that the
Jeez
shark is
Louise.
nearby, likely due to people yelling the word shark over and over again. He slowly starts to make his way back towards the beach as the shark
Man, and it
appears to
just
swim
it's
away.
it's
According to a
prey
commenter on
items
TikTok,
or
the shark was
something just
actually
went
showing
right past the
apparently
guy.
lost interest in the man, but not.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
Go on, Craig. Tell us what you see there.
Again, I mean, that's what I see there is big hammerhead shark in very shallow water, which is extremely interesting to me because like I said, I don't know much about these animals. I almost know nothing about them, and I didn't realize that the great hammerheads hunt inshore like that. And there again, it's like what I said in the last video. I think this happens very often that these animals are chasing small prey or chasing prey amongst people, or amongst bathers, or within feet of bathers. But you can see that shark's not interested in the human once again, and that's just impressive to me, you know. And it doesn't impress me that it's not going for the human. It just shows me that the sharks are very specific in what they're hunting, and that is why we have so few shark attacks around the world every year. So that's what I'm taking away from it. You know, I'm not going to get into the whole behavior thing of it because I don't know that much about these animals. So Gibbs, I gave you the chance first. Last time I asked Fiona what she thinks before we go to you.
Yeah, this is another cool example
Okay, take
of
it.
what?
Take it.
All right, I'll go. I don't know. Just start talking and don't shut up. That's anyways. No, I think this is another cool example of these sharks' abilities. First of all, its agility, and then its electrosensory reception from its ampulla. It swims directly towards the bather and in attempt to catch its prey item. But as soon as it recognizes that, you know, the bather is in front of its prey item, it just doesn't barge right through. It stops and slows down by turning away from the actual from the person, and then it's so quick that you sort of don't recognize how intelligent these animals are in recognizing what's in their environment. You know, it just seems like, oh, it just kind of did that, but to me it really speaks to knowing what your prey item is and not necessarily just being like an aggressive man eater. So again, the bather got lucky that the shark was, it was a shark and not something, I don't know, another human, because there was no malintent there. But interesting perspective. And Fiona, what did you take away from this video?
Thanks, Gibbs. Well, I think that if that bather had been standing with his legs open, the shark would have gone straight through them and carried on chasing the fish.
I wonder where the dorsal would have been.
I think these 3 videos, or these 4 videos, are so similar in that the shark is just so intent on its prey that nothing else really matters. And I mean, I think we got to take a lesson from that shark, because that's pretty impressive behavior. So I think that the human being was quite lucky that he was facing away from the shark when it was chasing through the water so fast towards him, because he would have got an incredible fright if he had seen that. I wonder how many times he's watched that video. And the shark was not interested in the human being at all, had its head down, going for whatever that prey item was that swam past the bather. And I think it got a bit of a fright when it saw this sort of body in the water and turned away, because obviously it was in the way. But luckily they can turn fast, because that could have been quite a collision. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, well, so you guys are all in agreement that there was a fish or array that we couldn't see that shark was after, and it wasn't as a result of detecting into the human. Correct? No?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, because
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, because that clip's gained over 20 odd million views, and I suspect a majority of the people watching it believe that shark was targeting the human initially, maybe before it realized it was a human, and then once it saw this wasn't its prey item, veered off. But in the clip there was reportage of people saying that they could see, not the camera could see, but they could see that that shark was actually in fact chasing a fish, which I suspect is also the case. But if you look at that clip, just at the face value, there could be an argument that the sort of shark had used, something, maybe it's detecting the presence of something that it doesn't know what it was, about 7 meters, 8 meters away. Maybe it was the vibrations of the swim in the water, and it, sort of ask questions later, let's go and investigate really hard what it is. But I suspect it's more likely that it was chasing a fish, or a ray in the sand and doing that. And I think, overall, it's probably very similar behavior to what we saw in the other videos, but the fact that the human was just fortuitously placed in exactly the wrong position made for an incredible video that did go viral, did capture the attention, I think, of the internet world. But the reality is, again, I think it was just a great hammerhead hunting fish doing what it does, and the human was just in the wrong place to really appreciate it. That's what I got.
Question. I don't know if anybody can answer this, but just considering how shallow these animals are coming to and close to coming to the beach, do you know if there are many beachings of these great hammerheads?
No, I haven't heard of that, but I can imagine that it must happen at least once or twice. You get caught in the wrong current, or a wave pushes you over and you just can't get back out and you're stuck in the sand. But yeah, I've never heard of any actual reported examples of this.
It just shows you how much control they have.
Yeah, yeah, they have a lot of control. That what's it called, Gibbs? Yeah. Cephalofoil. I was saying hydrofoil.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Cephalofoil.
It's basically a hydrofoil for your head, so.
Cool.
Not too far off.
Yeah.
Cephalofoil.
In the first clip, you could see the hammerhead hunting the blacktips in really, really shallow water, and once or twice the blacktips went right up onto the sand almost, and the shark always seemed to know to turn when it was getting too shallow. So I think in this day and age, with everybody with a cell phone or a GoPro or whatever, if a shark does beach itself, you find that footage all over social media, and I've never seen a hammerhead shark beached itself in any footage, so I would be surprised.
Yeah. What was interesting was maybe those little oceanic blacktips running and trying to get cover and safety in the shore in the very, very shallow waters in that first video is pretty much exactly the same strategy that humans do to avoid sharks when we detect them. We run to the shallows and get out of the water. So a little bit of similarity between those two. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps us up with that episode. I think it was a good one, very interesting. I don't know if anybody's got anything else to add, but definitely different behaviors from our last episode. So, if you do like what we're doing here on the Shark Panel, make sure you subscribe. We bring these videos out once a week, hopefully around a Thursday or Friday every week, and so make sure you subscribe and enjoy us and join us next time. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again.
Cheers.
Cheers.